After 4 years of being together and on the verge of our wedding, my fiancé Elliot suddenly changed his tune. He said coldly, "You're not worthy of being my wife. I can find someone better," and left without looking back, leaving me shocked and stunned. At that moment, I was filled with the pain of betrayal and self-doubt. It felt like my whole world had crumbled. Elliot and I used to have sweet times. In the first 2 years, we were like inseparable conjoined twins. We moved in together after 18 months. Although my parents didn't quite approve, they didn't interfere too much. We shared similar hobbies. We'd stay up all night binge, watching the same shows, were crazy about exploring local niche restaurants, and could talk until dawn about all sorts of odd topics. He used to give me many little surprises. The warm cup of coffee on the nightstand when I woke up in the morning could always drive away my drowsiness, and the TikTok videos he shared during work breaks made me feel his care even in the midst of busyness. On our 3rd anniversary, he proposed to me by the lake where we had our first date. There was no grand scene, and the ring wasn't big, but at that moment I felt like the happiest person in the world. I couldn't wait to post a photo of the ring on Instagram, called my mom while crying, and joyfully started planning our wedding for the next summer. However, 6 months after we got engaged, everything changed. At first, he would just casually comment on my appearance. He'd say that dress would look better if I lost some weight, or suggest that I change to a more sophisticated hairstyle. I thought these were just jokes between lovers, so I just laughed them off. But gradually, his criticisms became more frequent, extending from my appearance to my career and family. He disliked that I didn't work hard enough, sneered at my opinions in front of friends, and complained that my family was too ordinary, saying that I had to work hard to improve myself if I wanted to be his wife. I started changing myself constantly. I changed my hairstyle, bought new clothes, worked overtime, and even signed up for various online courses, all in the hope of meeting his standards. But the harder I tried, the more critical he became. 3 months before the wedding, the conflict finally erupted completely. When we were discussing the wedding dress, he suddenly said that his mother thought the one I chose was too ordinary and lacked class. When I asked him to explain, he flew into a rage, bluntly saying that he had been settling all along and that I was not his ideal partner. He also said that his family disliked me and thought I'd embarrass him in social situations. I couldn't believe my ears. Where had the gentle and caring him gone? I didn't cry or make a scene. Instead, I just sneered. That sneer was full of disappointment and disdain for him. I grabbed my bag and resolutely left the apartment that was once filled with sweet memories and went to my best friend Monica's place. That night, I hid under the covers alone and my tears couldn't stop flowing. Was 4 years of relationship really over? But amidst the sadness, I also felt a sense of relief, as if I had finally taken off a heavy yoke. In the days after the breakup, Elliot kept calling and texting me. At first, he was furious, accusing me of overreacting. Then he pretended to apologize, saying that he was just stressed because of the wedding. Finally, he even condescended to warn me that I'd regret leaving him. I was so annoyed by his actions that I blocked his number directly. With Monica's help, I managed to cancel the wedding with great difficulty, return the gifts, and inform the guests. The process was full of pain and helplessness, but I gradually found myself again during this period. I rented a small apartment on the other side of the town and decorated it carefully, turning it into a warm little nest that belonged only to me. Although living alone was a bit lonely, it also made me feel a freedom I had never experienced before. I could decorate the room as I liked, watch my favorite shows without being judged. However, life is always full of drama. 6 weeks after the breakup, I accidentally learned that Elliot had been spreading rumors everywhere, saying that I broke up with him because I had a mental breakdown. I was angry and helpless, but I decided to ignore his ridiculous remarks. At the same time, I also started trying to date again, hoping to start a new life. But every time I got along with new people, I couldn't help but think of the past with Elliot, and my heart was inevitably tangled. Until one day, Monica invited me to her brother's birthday party. I didn't want to go at first, but under her persistent persuasion, I finally agreed. At the party, I met Wyatt. He was a college friend of Monica's brother, humorous, and his eyes were full of sincerity. We hit it off immediately. We talked about our favorite podcasts and our visions for the future, as if we had known each other for a long time. After the party, he took the initiative to ask for my contact information and invited me for coffee the next day. That cup of coffee started our story. After that, we had lunch together, walked in the park, and watched movies. We got along more and more harmoniously. The time with Wyatt was easy and pleasant. He never criticized me but encouraged me to be myself. He would listen carefully to every thought of mine and respect every decision I made. We started dating officially. Although we had some minor frictions occasionally, like his Roomba making trouble during our date or me almost setting the kitchen on fire when cooking, these all became interesting memories between us and made our relationship deeper. 3 months after we started dating, I ran into Elliot and his new girlfriend Daisy in the mall. Daisy looked elegant and noble, completely different from me. When I saw them, my heart couldn't help but twitch, but I quickly adjusted my mood and greeted them generously. Elliot was surprised and jealous when he saw me with Wyatt. Since then, he started contacting me frequently again. First, he sent some irrelevant messages on Instagram, and later he even called me directly, saying that he regretted it and hoped we could get back together. I refused him decisively. I already had Wyatt, and he was the one who truly understood and loved me. As time went by, my relationship with Wyatt got better and better. 6 months after we started dating, he proposed to me. He didn't have those fancy ceremonies. Instead, on the bench in the park we often visited, he said to me affectionately, "I want to walk every step of the future with you. Will you marry me?" Looking into his sincere eyes, I agreed without hesitation. We set our wedding date 3 months later and started preparing for it intensively. Just 1 month before the wedding, Monica suddenly told me an astonishing piece of news. Daisy and Elliot had broken up, and Daisy was pregnant. What's more, the father of the child was Monica's brother, Barry. I was stunned by this news. I never expected things to develop like this. When Elliot learned that I was getting married, he pestered me even more. He even showed up at my workplace and begged me to change my mind in front of my colleagues. I felt extremely embarrassed and angry. Fortunately, Wyatt arrived in time and drove him away. Wyatt hugged me tightly and comforted me. "Don't worry, I'm here." At that moment, I felt extremely lucky to have such a person who could protect me. On our wedding day, it was sunny at first, but suddenly it started to rain heavily. Everyone was worried that the wedding would be affected, but I thought it was a blessing from heaven. The wedding went smoothly, although there were some minor episodes, like my veil getting caught in a tree and Wyatt's nephew crying suddenly during the vows. This made the wedding even more memorable. Just as we were about to cut the cake, Elliot showed up again. He was drunk and rushed into the wedding venue, shouting that he still loved me and asking me not to marry Wyatt. The scene immediately became chaotic, and everyone was shocked. Wyatt immediately stood in front of me and said seriously to Elliot, "Please leave here. She's very happy now. Stop pestering her." But Elliot wouldn't let it go and tried to rush forward. Fortunately, the people present held him back. Finally, the security guards took him away by force, and the wedding could continue. After getting married, Wyatt and I had a plain but happy life. We worked hard together and planned to buy a house of our own. After months of searching, we finally found a 3-bedroom house that we liked. Although it was a bit old, it had a large backyard where we could keep pets. We moved in with joy and started a new life. However, Elliot still wouldn't let us go. He sent me messages from time to time, saying that he was living a bad life and hoping I would show some sympathy. I was immune to his messages and just ignored them directly. Once, we were having a housewarming party at home, and all our relatives and friends came to congratulate us. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. When I opened the door, I was shocked to see Elliot standing there with a bottle of wine in his hand. He looked haggard, and his eyes were full of despair. I wanted to close the door directly, but he pleaded with me to let him in. Helplessly, I let him in. As soon as he entered, he saw the wedding photo of Wyatt and me on the wall, and his face turned ugly. He started taunting Wyatt, saying that I married him on impulse and would regret it sooner or later. Wyatt wasn't angry. Instead, he calmly said to Elliot, "Please respect our life. We are very happy, and we also hope you can find your own happiness." But Elliot didn't take it well and wanted to start an argument. At this time, Monica suddenly stood up and said, "You know what? Daisy is already married, and she is very happy now. But you're still pestering us here." When Elliot heard this news, he was stunned. He just stood there blankly, as if he had lost his soul. After a while, he silently put down the wine and turned to leave. Since then, Elliot has never appeared again. My life with Wyatt has returned to peace. We work hard to manage our home together. Although we quarrel about small things occasionally, these don't affect our relationship. Looking back on the past with Elliot, I'm very grateful that I left him bravely. Those past pains and setbacks have all become stepping stones for my growth. Now I finally understand a truth. True happiness is not about meeting others' expectations, but about being with the person who truly loves you, supporting each other, and growing together. I believe that in the days to come, Wyatt and I will always be happy.